Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my good friend TJ Majors and the co-host of the show. We got some big news this week, TJ.
Yeah, you're probably talking about the Discovery Race deal.
Absolutely, man. This is going to be awesome, though.
Yeah, I knew when I read about it that it was going to be all you.
Yeah, I really do like this kind of stuff. It doesn't matter in this situation how much money you have, whether you got a big sponsor behind you. Even manufacturer allegiances don't matter. It's the best of the best. It's everybody who's anybody in short track racing at the grassroots level coming to Rockingham and trying to find a way to stand tall above the rest. And if you can go out there and perform better than anybody else, you're going to be able to come out of the local short track scene and get a shot at the ARCA Menards Series. This is every driver's dream. And they've had these before. They did the Roush Gong Show and other competitions, if you will, where they bring what they believe are the best drivers in the country to compete all for a total prize and an opportunity at the next level. So this is a lot of pressure for these young drivers, and they're going to be asked to perform at their best in this instance and prove that they belong. But it could be a life-changing experience for one. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors. And TJ, there is some big news coming up. Obviously, the race this weekend, one of the biggest races of the season. Sponsors want to do well in these moments. One sponsor in particular is going the extra mile, trying to give their team the best opportunity to go out there and succeed. And so it's not uncommon to see teams put a ton of their investment into one event to see if they can go out there and shine in that moment.
Yeah, it means long hours at the shop, extra preparation on the car, everything just gets a little bit more detail. And It's all about the details when you go into these big races like this. The more you can put in, the more people that put eyes and hands on these cars, the faster they go.
The driver's going to have the best car they've had all season. Can they go out there and perform in front of this crowd for their sponsor that's putting this investment forward? That remains to be seen. A lot of pressure, big deal. We're going to be tuned in. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for the Dale Jr. Download in the Dirty Mo Media studio with my co-host TJ Majors. And as we expected, NASCAR has dropped the hammer on the teams this week. Huge fines coming out of the NASCAR building. And you don't love to see this for any of these teams. The teams, they have to push the envelope and try to bend the rule book. Sometimes they go over the line. In NASCAR, they cannot hesitate to come down hard on these teams when that happens.
Yeah, these are some of the biggest fines that I've seen. So it's interesting. It's interesting, like you said, though, teams are always trying to get as much as they can, and you have to. And sometimes you step over the line, and there's a price to pay for that.
Yeah, it's tough to know, whether, your crew chief or whatever, engineers are going to be bending the rules all the time, trying to gain an advantage in the garage and try to create speed for your car. But that's always going to be the risk for them. Yeah. Is will NASCAR, if NASCAR were to see something they didn't like, how severe will NASCAR's interpretation of this be? And what will they believe the intent to be? And then, whether it's a suspension or a fine, in this case, it's a monetary fine and a big one at that.
Yeah, thinking back at some of the fines, do you remember some of the fines you got? I think most of yours were for language.
Yeah, I would get in trouble. I don't remember being fined a lot. I had a lot of, we had some suspensions with crew chiefs and so forth. But I did get fined for cussing, which was, and points. The points are the worst, man.
The points are worse.
The money is tough. But anytime you lose points, that's really what matters. That's what teams are trying to accumulate to go out there and win the championship. But the money hurts. In this situation, this fine being this large, this is going to be tough for this team. They'll have to figure out ways to balance their books and continue to be competitive, and that's tough to do. You remember when Rusty Wallace paid his fine? Years and years ago?
Yeah, it was a heavy, heavy fine, literally.
Yeah, he paid it in pennies. So we'll see what happens. Maybe this driver might have a sarcastic way to deliver the message back to NASCAR. They're not too happy.
It'd be interesting.
Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. with my co-host TJ Majors for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download, and we've got some breaking news out of the garage. We always get these penalties midweek, TJ, but one of the crew members has been penalized by NASCAR, suspended, and not able to go to the racetrack, and that's going to be a tough loss for a team to go out there and compete with one of their key players having to sit back at home. Yeah,
losing key members of your team is hurts you at the racetrack big time. You know, there's someone else has to come in and take up, do what that person does, and things don't flow the same. You don't know if all the same bolts and knobs get turned. It impacts more than just one person.
Yeah, it does. There's some silver lining to that. Obviously, when you have a leader of the team that's not at the racetrack, communication breaks down. Who's in charge? Who's making the final decision? That whole process may continue in the same effort. The crew chief could sit at home and with all the technology we have today still literally be able to call the race, but all of that stuff happens slower. The information comes slower to the driver and the team on what they need to do for every single pit stop and what have you as the strategy plays out in the race. It does make things more difficult. We've seen this in the past. I remember, years and years ago, Tony Jr. getting suspended and us going to the racetrack, and they said he couldn't be inside the racetrack, so he just rented an RV and sat on top of it off of turn 2 and called the race like he was on top of a pit box. Now, NASCAR's tightened the rules down since then. You can't even be on the property anymore. But, these teams are resilient. They find ways to make these things work. And also, it's that kind of next man up mentality where whoever is going to fill that role on this race weekend, the car chief, the lead engineer, whatever it is, whoever fills that crew chief role, for example, when the crew chief gets suspended, it's an opportunity for them to show that they're a leader, that they're a future crew chief one day. So we'll see if that pans out.
Yeah, I think it happens from time to time in the sport. I think it's there's been a few crew chiefs. I'm not trying to name names, but I think Chad's been suspended numerous times.
Yeah.
And but it didn't seem to affect Jimmy. They had a good system in place, but it definitely puts a lot more stress on the race team.
Sure does. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors, and some news out of the garage. One of the teams getting their car that they wrecked this weekend back to the garage, and learning the unfortunate news that the damage is worse than you thought. We have experienced that before, TJ. Remember Amelia?
I do.
A super speedway car. What an incredible record that this car had. But we got in a wreck one day, and it was beyond repair. And that is a sickening feeling. You crash, you think, okay, maybe I've got a front clip, maybe a rear clip, or both. But you never worry about the center section of the car. You go back to the shop and you see that dash bar tweaked or bent, and you're like, that's the point to where the car is beyond repair, and it goes over to the race car graveyard.
Yeah, it's a shame, man, because some of these race cars, and they try to build them the exact same way, but they never feel the same. You can only get so close.
Yeah.
And once you find a really good car, it's hard to replicate it. So it's a sad day to see it come back and end up in your woods.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. You never want to lose a great race car. It happens sometimes, and unfortunately for this team, that's the case. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors, and we got some bad news in the garage today. One of the teams losing their sponsor files for bankruptcy. They've been around a long time, been supporting this team. It's vital for this team to have this funding, and it's completely gone.
Yeah, this affects the race team from top to bottom. Sponsors are how these teams operate, from the front office to the racetrack and everything in between. So this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, they're going to have to go spend a lot of resources to try to secure a new sponsor if that's possible. That's going to take a lot of time and effort away from preparing race cars and going to the racetrack every weekend. So going to have to figure out a way to kind of divide and conquer, if you will. But I've seen this in careers. I've seen this in racing programs. I've seen this derail successful, promising drivers' careers. And so this can be a very, very difficult, one of the most difficult things, I think, to navigate. And it's shocking. It comes out of nowhere right in the middle of the season when you think everything's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, this is definitely a a hard road to navigate right here. So hopefully good decisions can be made and get pointed back on the right track.
Yeah, they're a good team, and certainly there's somebody out there that would want to be on the side of this race car. They'll have to spend a lot of effort and work and time to try to secure something new. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again with my co-host TJ Majors for another Dale Jr. Download. And we got some news today that a high-level employee at this race team has decided to retire. And man, you wish them well. You want them to have a great time in this next chapter. But it is a tough situation for this team to be able to replace somebody that is so good and so important to their success.
Yeah, this is, like a legacy has been formed here. So definitely going to be a hard replacement. Definitely not what you want to hear for that race team. But, it's next man up.
I don't know, man. It's tough. When you got somebody like this, you build so much equity and trust, and the performance is going well, and you see it going in the right direction. This reminds me a lot of when Letarte went to TV and left the pit box as a crew chief for me. Me and him had built ourselves into what I thought was a top 5 race team on any given weekend. We felt like we could go and compete, and it took us years to get there. And all of a sudden, he was going to make this change in his life to do something completely different, and I was going to have to start over. And that's a tough spot to be in for any driver.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough spot for the driver, race team in general. I mean, it's gonna be different for sure.
Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. with my co-host TJ Majors back again. Another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. And TJ, we got a team in a tough spot right now. I heard in an interview Bob Pockris did earlier in the week where a team manager is a particular employee that is vital to the success of this team, at least in my opinion, is looking for a different opportunity.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a really tough spot to be in for the race team, especially employee of that caliber. Big decision.
Yeah, it is. What do you do? I mean, you could probably try to pay them more money to keep them there, but is that truly going to fix the problem long term? Maybe a year from now, you're back in the same boat with that person, looking for opportunities elsewhere. It's a frustrating situation to be because you feel like that everybody's getting paid fairly, but then somebody starts getting requests from outside. That's annoying. Yeah. Other teams are trying to hire away your people. And then they start to see, man, I've got more value than I realized, right? I want that value. I want to be paid that whether I'm staying here or going somewhere else. You've been in that position as a spotter where you've been sought after by multiple teams, and you've had to make the tough decision of leaving friends. Even, me and you worked together for a long time, Brad Keselowski, and having to choose between that friendship and that relationship or going and taking another opportunity somewhere else with a new team.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you if you're busy after this show because I think this is my last episode.
Well, I'm not going to pay you more than you're making now, and I don't know that anyone else will either. But, hey, we're going to have some fun, and we'll see what happens with this sort of scenario. I'm of the opinion if you can afford it, you keep them. I mean, good people, good quality, yeah. It's speed in your race car. You get what you pay for.
Yep.
Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors, and we're hearing some news out of one of the race shops, a big shakeup, a new employee, a VIP, one of the best in the garage, joining the team.
Yeah, I heard this too, and not gonna lie, I'm a bit surprised. This is a big name, man, and I got to say this is going to shake some things up.
Yeah, anytime you get, a quality crew chief, engineer, whatever, when you're not only making your team better, but you're making the other competitors, you're taking them down a notch, right? When you're taking all of that information that they've learned and you're bringing it into your building. Every time that I got a chance to work with a new crew chief or a new engineer, I knew my cars were going to change, and it's the hope that it's going to change for the better, that they're going to bring a lot of those secrets out of that building into your building.
Yeah.
And so that's an exciting time for a driver when you can find one of those, high-profile, sought-after individuals that are making speed in this garage.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like getting a really good spotter, huh?
That's right. Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. at the Dale Jr. Download with TJ Majors, my co-host, and there's some tough news coming out of the garage today, TJ.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a race team that is shutting down.
Yeah, that's something that happens from time to time in our sport. Finances get tough. Sponsors may leave, make things difficult for the team to continue. But it does provide opportunity because for the other teams, they can then go to this program and, it's really kind of a grab bag of good parts. And a lot of this stuff's hard to come by. Transmissions, engines, suspension stuff, even the chassis themselves. All of this stuff will be on the market for pennies on the dollar, and the teams will be all out there trying to figure out if any of that stuff would be beneficial to them. So it's an opportunity for some of the other teams to try to get better.
Yeah, for sure. This can change the landscape of a race team season.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see who acquires these parts and pieces from this team that's shutting down and whether they can take advantage of that and get some more mileage out of those pieces. Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. with my co-host TJ Majors for the Dale Jr. Download and some tough news around the industry. This storm this week has really ground things to a halt. A lot of the teams are, the employees just aren't able to get to work, and so it's slowed down the processes and the preparation.
Yeah, sounds like this team was hit real hard. No power in their shop for almost a week, so the race prep has been almost at a standstill for them. Really hard times.
Yeah, they'll still be able to get prepared, get to the racetrack, but it's got to affect their performance over the course of the weekend, maybe even longer, while they deal with this setback.
Yeah, it's going to take, them reaching out and gaining some more resources from other areas and just to put everything together, because getting these cars ready to go to the racetrack is not an easy task.
Yeah. One of the things that happens too, when we've experienced this in the past is, there's a storm moves through town, whether it's, people get snowed in, ice or what have you, and nobody's traveling in the morning. Employees, when they do come back, it takes them sort of a while to get reintegrated into their processes, what they were working on, and to get them back into the speed at which they were accomplishing and the efficiency that they had going at the time. And so it's even when the team does come back to the shop, they don't really go right back to where they were in terms of efficiency right away. So these things take some time. And it's unfortunate. It hits some teams harder than others, depending on where your race shop is located. So we'll see how this works out. Hopefully they can overcome this weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be some long-term effects too, because these guys aren't just preparing cars for this weekend's race. They're preparing cars for next weekend's and the following weekends as well. So this is going to be a lasting effect on this race team.
Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. here for the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors, and we've got a team that's kind of shown a little improvement. They've gotten tighter over the last couple of weeks, and some of those things that you do off the racetrack with morale, team bonding experiences, you really don't know how much they might affect a race team, but they can go a long way. Something as simple as going out to dinner and buying the team dinner, or we used to take Latart and the 88 team paintballing in Pocono every year. And man, those there's a lot of fun, because who doesn't love paintball? But the guys kind of got to get away from the racetrack and hang out, and it forged some friendships and relationships that really benefits the team when they go into competition.
Yeah, I think this is a huge part of keeping employees happy and keeping the guys motivated. This is a really long season, and doing events like the paintball. We do events, Brad does events like, Top Golf events with the crew guys, and it just brings everyone together, man. It's you travel with these people 38 weekends a year, so you better get used to them, and to do team bonding events like this, to go out and have a little fun, it really goes a long way. And, these guys, they go back to the hotels at night and think, man, that was fun, and they're just kind of re-energized and ready to go and work hard.
I always thought that, I always felt an obligation as a driver to show my face at the race shop. They're there every day throughout the week working, and you go there and you try to, show your support as a driver, but you really don't have anything to do there. It always felt kind of awkward and uncomfortable because you're standing around just sort of, showing your face. And so this is a great way, doing these kind of off-track events, taking the team somewhere for a field trip or whatever. That's a great way to feel like you're, when you're the one initiating and instigating that and doing that for them, that's a great way to sort of to create those relationships and that trust and bond. When you get those guys, glad and happy to be working on your car, they'll do anything for you. They'll do anything for you at the racetrack.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to get away from work a little bit and have a good time at it.
Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. here for the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors, and there's some news in the garage about some of the teams, one in particular who has found a bit of an advantage. And TJ, we see this all the time with teams, and we've experienced that ourselves working in the garage and working with specific teams, that once you get a little bit of an advantage on the competition, you hang on to that for a while. It doesn't last forever. Everybody figures out what you're doing. But this team's figured something out and, brings back some memories from some of the things we used to do.
Yeah, teams are always pushing the limits on where they can find speed, and it doesn't take much to put yourself above everyone else, where everyone's so close on speed-wise that you find a little bit, it can go a long way. So I think pushing the boundaries and doing some things, we saw a lot of speed come out with the skew in the rear end when the cars looked like they were sideways on the straightaway. That was a big thing there for a while, and some teams were figuring it out before others. But, man, it's good to have fast race cars when you find something. Yeah,
I love teams like this that are rewriting the rule book for NASCAR. You think back to the days when coil binding the front springs was a big deal, and the teams were buying and creating special springs that did that uniquely and better than anyone else. Tony Jr. had some really good springs there for a while that he kind of, you almost didn't even want the garage to see them. They would bring them out under covers and so forth before they would put them in the car, and it's so hard to keep those things a secret for long. But, so this team, it takes 4 or 5 weeks for some of these parts to get ready. This team will have this part immediately and take advantage of that, and hopefully, over that span of time, be able to rule the competition out on the racetrack.
Speed immediately. I don't think any driver's against that.
Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here in the Dirty Mo Media Studio with my co-host TJ Majors. And TJ, we're hearing some news out of the garage today. Some of the teams, one specifically, has found some speed. These teams, they'll do R&D work all year long in search of some advantage, and every once in a while, you find something magical.
You're gonna have to tell me more.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to do, but the teams are always progressing throughout the season. But every now and then, one of these teams will unlock a secret, and all the other teams see the speed. It's absolutely apparent, and it burns you because you just want to know badly what they found, and it's impossible to know. And so this team will ride this high off of this competitiveness for so long and try to take advantage of it and win this championship.
Yeah, this reminds me exactly of that motor that Richie built for you back in the day. That thing could not be beat, it seemed.
Richie Gilmore did build an incredible engine for us that we raced at Daytona and Talladega, number 11. And it was magical. It was a golden piece, man. And it was a must every time we went to the racetrack that engine went in our car. And we did everything we could to try to take advantage of that and win as many races as possible. And it has a heck of a record. When you find something like that, you hang on to it as long as you can, and you try not to let anybody in the garage figure out what you're doing. It's hard, though. Everybody's on top of each other in this sport. And, it's hard to keep those kind of secrets, but you try to do that as long as you possibly can. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download with my co-host TJ Majors. And TJ, we've heard some news out of the garage. It's something you really don't hear that often, but one of the manufacturers, bringing a part back in to be able to sort of see how it performed, taking it away from the team, risking a bit of a loss of performance.
Yeah, the manufacturer taking the part back, it kind of hurts the race team, but I hear they're helping them out in other ways so they can distribute that. I guess they're giving them some money. I guess they can use that money and distribute it in other areas to gain some speed.
Yeah, the manufacturers have to learn how these parts work, how they performed. They may magnaflux this part or see if there's any cracks or any stress or how they can improve on the next iteration or version of this piece. And so the team loses it for a while. They do get the monetary, the funds from the manufacturer to go kind of use that as well as they can in other areas. So a bit of a loss, but a gain at the same time.
Yeah, you're gaining the knowledge the manufacturer is going to get from this. Could produce better parts down the road and more speed.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. My co-host TJ Majors is here again, and man, we got a cool story. I love hearing about this kind of stuff. It doesn't get talked about a lot, but we got a small team, small garage, just down the road right here in town. They are getting a lot of parts that still got some mileage on them. The bigger teams might replace these parts more often, but they're still good, and these smaller teams can benefit from that. They're giving these parts to this small family-run team for free. You love to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's good to see there's still race teams out there that will do that type of stuff. Yeah. And honestly, if they're not going to use it anymore and they're going to get rid of it, it could really benefit this lower team. I mean, they don't have the speed that part might have in it. They don't have. And even if that part's half worn out, it's still way better than what they have already. So it's good to see them help these lower teams out, and it's really going to help them a lot.
It reminds me of a time, when BJ McLeod is a great friend of ours here. He used to come over to Junior Motorsports. We would have, body panels that maybe just had a little scratch here, a little imperfection that he would take, and he's like, I can use that.
Yeah.
There may be suspension parts or brakes, calipers, and things like that a team that's maybe battling in the top 3 for the points championship can't risk running the long, deep miles on that part. It's still a good part. It's not going to fail. But there's just, you can't take that risk as a championship team of a seal going out or what have you. But BJ will take it gladly, use it at a discount. And, there's a lot of that going on in the garage that none of us ever really hear about.
Yeah.
But this time we did get to learn about what this team's doing. Pretty cool for them. Big boost in a reputation, from a reputation standpoint for this team. They do lose the parts, but hey, this young team that's just kind of getting started out, they'll take them. They'll go out there and compete.
Yeah, it's a good deed, and you never know when it's going to come back your way.
That's right. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download in the Dirty Mo Media Studios, and my co-host TJ Majors. And there's some big news in the sport. One of the teams has, kind of acquired a better deal with their manufacturer, getting some of these parts at a discount or even free. Anytime that you can kind of rise up through the ranks within your own manufacturer, you acquire some resources at a discount, and man, it makes things so much easier.
Yeah, getting these deals from manufacturers really makes the race team operate a lot better, because you save money there.
Yeah.
When you save money there, you can put it other places, and that just enables the race team to expand in other areas, and it makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah, teams will get free tool deals, saves them a ton of money when they're getting free tools or at a discount, power tools, stuff like that. All these things teams need in abundance. And so anywhere you can go to find, if you have resources or parts and pieces, whether they're for the race car or helping you build the race car, and these are things that you use a lot of, and you need a bunch of these parts throughout the season, you're going to go to these manufacturers and say, hey man, I'm going to buy a bunch of this stuff, or I need a lot of it. If I'm buying it in such a large quantity, what kind of deal can we do?
Yeah.
It's a decal on the car, whatever it may be, social media mentions, what have you, to try to cut that cost down and save the team some money. So
yeah.
This team's going to get some free parts, and hopefully, the long-term effect is a positive one on the bottom line.
Yeah, race cars need parts, mechanics need tools, everything's good.
Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here in the Dirty Mo Media Studio with my co-host TJ Major. And man, TJ, there's some big news in the sport, something kind of new happening here over the last couple of years. Investors coming in and investing into these race teams. And we've got a team here that looks like that they may partner with an investment group, and that could change the trajectory of this team.
Yeah, money coming in is always good. It opens up a lot of doors for the race team, more resources. Everything becomes a lot easier when that happens.
It's incredible because, this is kind of, like I say, a new phenomenon where teams are finding investors and people that are interested in investing in their future. And, you would hope that it would benefit the team immediately, being able to go out there and afford things and improvements and gains that they weren't able to be able to do in the past. So pretty incredible opportunity. You never know when that phone rings or when somebody walks through the front door of that lobby what that opportunity might be. So this is huge for this team. All right, we're live back at the Dale Jr. Download here in the Dirty Mo Media Studio. We got some great news, some heartwarming news. This driver and this team, they're going to be visiting one of the local hospitals, and you love to see that. You love to see our drivers and our teams do charitable work, also doing great things within their own community.
Yeah, I've been there many times, seen you go, countless times, and the reaction is always off the charts. I mean, it's always so good and heartwarming, and really important that the drivers do that. Yeah,
I think so. It's awesome for the kids, obviously, at the hospital, but it's great for your fans to see you out there actively trying to do great things. And, you benefit from certain things being a race car driver, but you got to give back as well and try to make an impact in your community. So good job here, and it's really going to change their reputation. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here in the Dirty Mo Media Studio. And every week we always bring some great guests into the show, and this week is no different. We've got one of the current drivers coming in. It's going to be awesome to actually sit down for the first time with this individual and kind of get to know who they are. We see them out on the racetrack and we kind of know what they're capable of doing, but really getting to learn their story is a lot of fun for me. It's kind of cool to see these drivers when they come in here, whether they take this seriously or not. I mean, we're here to have fun, but it's also a great way to build your brand, grow your reputation, introduce fans to really who you are.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. We really get to find out who these people are, where they came from, how they got here, and really we learn a lot of details that you don't hear otherwise.
Yeah.
So really excited about this one, and it's going to be a home run.
That's right. Yeah, it's always fun talking to the drivers and seeing what they're thinking about their season, and this will be no different. Gonna get to know one of the younger drivers and one of the newer drivers on the circuit. Welcome back to the Dale Jr. Download here in the Dirty Mo Media Studio. We got some great news for you today. Several of the drivers are going to be stars in an upcoming racing movie. This is an incredible opportunity. One you really can't turn down. This will do so much for your reputation, TJ, and it'll put you in front of a lot of people that maybe don't even watch racing, right? It'll introduce your brand and change your reputation, being able to kind of become a bit of a mainstream star.
Yeah, I remember going to, for the Cars movie, we went and recorded, and I watched you do some voiceover stuff for that. And what a really neat experience.
Yeah.
So cool to go there and see how those movies are put together, and, then see the finished product. I just hope it's a really good movie like that movie was. What's some of your favorite movies?
I think that I remember doing the reads for that Cars movie, and that was a lot of fun, and you knew that was going to be a big success. You do get opportunities, or you do get asked or requested to be a part of projects maybe that you're not thinking are a good fit for you, because it's got to make sense. It's got to feel authentic. It's got to be somewhere where fans might expect you to fit into. And so, I was booked to do a small little scene in the Herbie movie, the most recent Herbie movie. This is probably like 20 years ago, and they were filming it in the garage at Fontana during the race weekend. It was a Saturday or a Friday, a break between practices, and I had agreed to do it. And I just got a bad feeling about doing it. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be that successful. It just doesn't feel all, I don't know. I love the original Herbie, but I wasn't down to be part of the remake. And so right at the last minute, I refused to go do it. I ticked off a lot of people, but sometimes you got to do what feels right? And in that moment, I was like, I didn't feel good for me to be part of this. And if I'm going to do these type of opportunities, I want it to be the right fit for my brand and what I'm trying to, because winning on the racetrack is important, but growing your brand and your reputation is equally as important for the long run.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you made some good choices there, especially the Cars movie. Those turned out to be a good success and really became household. They're still popular today. So really good choices made there.
Yeah.